What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 367 of the Embodied podcast. I am your host, Elizabeth D'Alto, and this is a solo episode today where I am getting into some money mindset stuff, some prosperity stuff, some money philosophy stuff. Like call it whatever you want. We're going to be talking about money. I'm going to be sharing how I have healed some of my own money programming, like the stuff I grew up with, the struggles that I had with money for many years, and where I have come to find immense peace around money, growth in my business, entrepreneurship, and things like this. And guess what? Per usual, if you've listened to the podcast for a long time, you are not going to be surprised to find out that there's a framework for this. I love frameworks. And for me, frameworks usually just come in the form of a list of things that we can refer back to and work through. Sometimes they go in order. Sometimes there's no rhyme or reason to the order. You might want to figure out your own order, test out your own order. But when it comes to money stuff, what really helped me finally kick any kind of scarcity, any kind of comparison, any type of struggles with money, any type of not owning my value or my worth, and also some distortions I had about the relationship between my own intrinsic value, self-worth, and what I should be charging for my services. It's really these four things: sufficiency, sustainability, soulfulness, and satisfaction. So what's sufficient? What's sustainable? What is soulful? And what is really, really satisfying? And then coming up in a couple of weeks here, there's an episode with my friend Asha Ramakrishna. That's going to be on 11/22. That's going to be episode number 369. And I love how Asha does sacred commerce. And she talks about wanting things to be regenerative. So if you like today's episode, make sure you tune in for that one as well. If you're listening to it later, it might already be live. Because these things, especially as we're in late stage capitalism, and I know so many of you are in or connected in some way, shape, or form to the online world, which might be coaching or self-help or spirituality or personal development or anything like that. These things are just so good to be curious about, to be in inquiry around. And as well, not even just as, a person who might be doing those things yourself, but also as a consumer. Because from an energetic perspective, personally, and this is my opinion, this is like my standard, this is my discernment. If I'm going to hire people, if I'm going to give them my money, I love the idea of voting with my dollars. So I really only want to be giving my money to people that I feel like are doing, money is good in their hands, that are in alignment for me to be, because money is energy, right? And all energy in some way, shape, or form comes back to life force. So if I'm essentially going to be putting my vote, my energy, my life force into or behind someone, I want that to be a person or a business or an organization. And listen, no people or organizations are perfect. No businesses are perfect. But I at least want it to feel like it's going behind something that is contributing to the shifts, the changes, the evolution, the healing, the liberation, the ripple effects that I want to see happening in the world. And listen, am I perfect with that? Am I doing that? Am I obsessively with every single dollar I spend? I'm really not. There are still some things that I will choose convenience, because ultimately the net gain of the convenience is more impactful overall than taking the hit on convenience and doing it another way. So, your Virgo friend is always out here with her own system of checks and balances around what she's putting her energy towards. And I don't know why I just started talking in the third person. But anyway, the other thing, the reason I want to talk about this today as well is because this episode is going live on November 8th. So if you're like a religious listener and like we're part of your Monday ritual to listen to the podcast when the episode comes out, 3 days from now on 11/11, and of course we chose the day on purpose. Two things are happening on this day. Number one, we're opening the doors for our Embodied Living Center membership to join us. We only open enrollment 2 or 3 times a year now. 2022, we'll either open enrollment twice or 3 times. I haven't decided yet. It will definitely be at least twice, maybe a third time. And so it's such an amazing membership. And I'm going to talk more about it in the coming, in all my Instagram posts and all my emails and everything like that. So if you want to receive all that extra information, I'm not going to use up too much airtime on the podcast to talk about it, but go on over to untameyourself.com/ELC waitlist. So that's E like embodied, L like living, C like center waitlist. And you can put yourself on the waitlist. So when we open enrollment on 11/11, you will know immediately and you'll get to check it out, read through all the details. I mean, you can read through the details now if you go to untameyourself.com/embodied-living-center and see what it's all about. You just won't be able to sign up yet. But I say that because as we get into the 4 S's, I haven't named this framework yet. I'm going to call them like the 4 S's for what? Money liberation, money satisfaction. I don't know. I haven't named the framework yet, but basically for healing your money shit, for embodied money healing. I don't know. Send me a DM on Instagram. Let me know what you think the name of this framework should be. But the Embodied Living Center is really a whole embodied integration of these 4 S's. So the first one is sufficiency. I'm sorry. This is a real riffy kind of episode. You got to deal with that today. The other thing that's coming up on 11/11 is if you have been checking out my embodiment specialist training for 2022, we had some extended payment plans, and there were some deadlines to apply to be able to take advantage of the extended payment plans. So the 18-month payment plan, if you want to be able to, that's our most extended payment plan now. If you want to be able to extend the investment over 18 months, spread it out that long, you need to get your application in by 11/11. So just make sure, if you've been thinking about it or whatever, or aren't sure, but at least submit your application. It doesn't matter if you end up being a yes or a no. And the application process itself is very transformative. It's been really beautiful to see people's applications and to have the one-on-one conversations with everyone who's been applying. And at the time that I'm recording this episode, we're half full. The Embodied Living Center is half full. So, I'm sorry, the embodiment specialist training is half full. There's plenty of room in the Embodied Living Center. So just make sure you get your application in. The deadline for applications officially ends on 12/12, on December 12th. And we start the training in February. So now that all those things are out of the way, the 4 S's. So the first one is sufficiency. So listen, for all my years in entrepreneurship and all my years of hiring business coaches and being in entrepreneur spaces and groups and going to events and things like this, one of the biggest things you hear, especially if you run an online business, is you got to scale. You got to scale your business, automate this, that, and the other thing, like work as little as possible, make as much money as possible. And that shit just never really worked for me. Like, I just am not a very money motivated person. I'm quite comfortable with risk. I'm comfortable carrying debt. It's more important to me to be living like my whole ass life than to be accumulating things and status and homes and stuff and whatever. And so no shade to anyone who you really value those things. For me personally, unhooking from everyone else's idea of what prosperity looked like and just really digging into what is sufficient for me. What's enough for me? What do I actually need? When I started really looking at that, being honest with myself about that, what I realized is the numbers were much lower than things that I'd been previously gunning for because I thought I should, right? Which, so this is a really interesting, like, distorted thing about this industry. When I first started my business in 2011, like officially online, the big thing was being a six-figure entrepreneur. And then within a couple of years, it was about being a seven-figure entrepreneur. Like, do you realize how wild it is to normalize generating $1 million a year? That is so far from what most people in the world earn. And yet there's this glorifying, oversimplifying, and glamorizing like becoming a seven-figure entrepreneur. And I'm like, I literally could care less. At a certain, like at one point, I bought into it and I was like, oh, yeah, I really should care about that because I certainly am capable of it. Listen, who cares? that was me. I was like, but I also don't give a shit. If I ever generate $1 million of revenue in a year, it's not going to be because I like worked myself to the bone or whatever. It's just going to be because God loves me and some shit went really well. And I was just doing what I was doing and something blew up miraculously. Because I don't need to generate $1 million in revenue. I just don't. What I realized is here's what I care about. Can I pay my bills with no stress? Can I take care, like, can I afford to take exquisite care of myself? In my line of work, I hold so much space for so many people. I can't mess around when it comes to my energy. I need to feel consistent energy. I want to feel vibrant and radiant. I want to be connected to the divine. I want to have time and space and room in my life for doing all the things that make me feel really, really good in my body, really, really connected to God, and are just really connected to the earth and the pulse and the reverence for life. So, I need to have time and energy and resources to have food to cook for myself. I like to eat relatively healthy. There's some supplements I like to take. I like to get acupuncture, craniosacral therapy, body work. I love a fancy gym. So I joined like the fanciest gym in South Beach. It's like $200 a month. It has a spa with like a hot plunge and a cold plunge and a steam room and a sauna and all that stuff. And that's it. I love my little Mini Cooper. So I need to be able to afford my little Mini Cooper, my apartment. I'm not super into clothes, material things. I'll splurge every once in a while on something like a pair of Gucci sunglasses that then I will take meticulous care of and they'll last me for like 7 years. And I like my home to feel like a friggin' sanctuary. So I don't have a lot of like fancy, expensive furniture, but I have nice shit now, but I don't need more of it. I have my staple, my core things that I need. And so then it's just about how am I living? Can I take care of myself? Can I travel if I want to travel? Can I afford to pay people on my team if I need to hire somebody to do something that, I can't do or someone else on my team can't do or something I don't want to do anymore or isn't really in anyone's zone of genius on my team? Those are kind of my basic, they're above survival needs, but they're not that far out there compared to, the amount of stuff or material things that a lot of people go for. And listen, I also understand privilege is a factor here. Like even me saying like, these are the basics for me. Some of you might be like, are you kidding me? Like that would be such a stretch. So I just want to remind you, like, don't compare yourself. Okay. Our needs are our needs. They're different. They're valid for everybody. They're justified for different reasons. So my needs might be very different from your needs. It doesn't mean you should want the things I want. Doesn't mean I should want the things you want. Doesn't mean we shouldn't want certain things or need certain things. But when I really looked at, okay, what is sufficient? How much money do I need to make so that I could like just pay for these things and then also have enough to be generous? Generosity is really important to me. When I think about what makes me feel prosperous and what prosperity means to me, I think I like to call it being able to just write the check. Somebody needs something, I could write the damn check. A GoFundMe pops up of someone's relative on Facebook who's dying of something and they need this treatment and they can't afford it. Like I want to be able to give some money to that, or, something's going on in my community. Someone needs something. Someone in my family needs it. Like I want to be able to write the check, if or when somebody needs something. that I can help out with, So that's what sufficiency is for me. Quick break in the show, everybody, to let you know that applications are open for my 2022 Embodiment Specialist training. I am so excited about this training. It is like 7 or 8 years in the making. It is expanded beyond what was Wild Soul Movement teacher training since 2016. And this is really for anybody who feels the pull to graduate from doing basic level self-help, personal development, and spiritual work, and truly embody self-love, healing, and wholeness, so they can live soulful and soul-centered lives that contribute to collective healing and liberation, as well as people who are wanting to really integrate the light and the dark, who place a high value on kindness, generosity, integrity, humility, and reverence, who know that while we receive all kinds of gifts and talents and genius, we are the instruments, not the players. This is for people who want to prioritize embodying their divine nature in order to serve the human experience, as well for those who would like to incorporate embodiment work into their professional lives in some way, shape, or form, or just deepen their own practice. So if you want to learn more about the training, which starts in February 2022, head to untameyourself.com/specialist. There are some dates by which to apply if you need an extended payment plans. We have a couple different extended payment plans, and it's just going to be an incredible, alchemical, transformative experience. It's going to be a small, intimate group because I will also be mentoring and working with everyone one-on-one throughout the 13 months of the training. So again, really deep, really beautiful, really incredible experience. If you are interested, go to untameyourself.com/specialist, and I will be so excited to receive your application if you decide to submit one. And what I want you to notice as I'm talking about this is the ease. Even me talking about it just feels so just like, yeah, here it is. This is what sufficiency is. I'm not all caught up about it. I'm not comparing myself to other people. I did have to unhook myself from one of the narratives that can really be mind-fucky around money mindset stuff is you're playing small. Because listen, y'all, I could be a workaholic. I could be having a multi-million-dollar business if I wanted to, but that would be gluttonous for me. That would be greedy for me. It's not where I'm at. And listen, if my goals and my vision change at some point, because I do have a dream, I would like to own a retreat center someday. Now, whether I want to do it someplace like Spain or Puerto Rico, or I want to have an urban retreat center here in Miami is to be determined. So at a certain point, I might need to make more money to be able to afford something like that. I might have to buy a house or a building or something like that. And in that case, what is sufficient for me will change. That will shift. And how I work or what I do or what I create might change, but it will be rooted in sufficiency, right? And so once I figured out sufficiency, I was like, okay, and then what's sustainable? Because I'm not out here, like I said already, trying to be a workaholic, trying to burn myself out, trying to just go, 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 because I'm so ruled and run by my goals and by these expectations and by all these things that don't allow me, again, to live a whole life, to have plenty of time for rest and connection and prayer and meditation, my own embodiment practices, communing with nature, spending quality time, hella quality time with my loved ones, being able to do the things I want to do. So what's sustainable? And one thing that's so important to note about sustainability is that it will absolutely shift and change through the seasons, cycles, phases, and stages of your life. And I don't just mean the 4 seasons of the year, although that all these things, the seasons of the year, the wheel of the year, the moon phases and cycles, astrological, your own transits, what you're going through in your life, and these more nature oriented or more spiritually or esoteric oriented things, those seasons and cycles, phases and stages matter, right? But then there's also the things in your life. If you are someone who's going through grief, a separation, a divorce, a breakup, someone in the family died, maybe a job was lost, or, the collective grief that we are all going through after being in a pandemic for almost 2 years. There's so many other factors that might be affecting your physical, mental, emotional, or energetic health that will impact what is currently sustainable for you. So personally, I like to reevaluate what is sustainable to like once a season. And the equinoxes and the solstices are great times to look at that, since those things transition us into the next season. So sustainability, whatever it is for you that sustains you, right? It's not just what's sustainable, what can I sustain activity wise, but also looking at what sustains you. And so you can see sufficiency and sustainability are very interconnected. And when I really started putting emphasis on sufficiency and sustainability, all these kind of ego attachments, programs, and conditioning that I had picked up, not even necessarily from my family of origin or anything like that, but just from this online marketing world, from this entrepreneur world, from some of the interesting spiritual communities that I had gotten myself into, that stuff kind of faded away. And I just got into alignment with my truth. And that brings me into the next S, which is soulful. Personally, for me, when I started connecting more deeply with my soul, money, everything became easier because I no longer had much of a taste for things that are not in alignment with my soul. And so what I noticed was there's this saying, rejection is God's protection. I would try and absolutely fall on my face at shit that wasn't aligned with my soul, with my purpose, with the things that I'm here to do. That things that make me feel more connected to God, not less, you know? And so allowing myself to really prioritize soulfulness in my life and in my work also really just helped me not be so attached to so much like money noise or limiting beliefs or self-sabotaging behaviors. Because one of my mantras is, I only want what God wants for me. And I think I originally got that from my friend Kathy back in the day. No, the way she would say it was, my spirit speaks through me by means of my desire. And then from Florence Scovel Shinn, I only desire that which the divine desires through me. And so in a more simple way, it's just, I only want what God wants for me. And so that's that soulful factor. What's aligned with my soul? Because something I've noticed since I started Wild Soul Movement is when I am working in alignment with my soul. And I want to make a point here for anyone who doesn't run their own business, you can absolutely have a job. You could be working for somebody else. You could be doing something. You could be a banker. You could be an attorney. You could be a doctor, like any of these more like kind of traditional mainstream jobs, and still be working in alignment with your soul. You do not need to be running a business. You do not need to be doing healing work or writing books or anything like that. You shining your light exactly where you are could be precisely in alignment with your soul. So I don't want anyone out there thinking that they need to be doing something more air quote meaningful than what they're doing, because we need bright lights in all the places and spaces across the world, big time. So the soulful piece, once in 2013, when I started Wild Soul Movement, I realized from that point forward, I was never going to have to worry about money again, because since I was doing the work that God wanted me to do, I would be provided for. I would absolutely be provided for. And listen, is there other money work and limiting beliefs and programs and stuff like that I had to work in order to like really believe that and have faith in that? Of course. But having that as my focus really helped. And then the last S is satisfying. When the other three are in place, sufficiency, sustainability, and soulfulness, work and money and everything is just satisfying, you know? Like, I don't give a shit how much things cost. I don't like, as long as my needs are met, again, that sufficiency, whether I have, an extra couple hundred or extra couple $100,000 in the bank. By the way, I've never had a couple $100,000 in the bank. I was just using it as a figure of speech. I don't care. That's not a thing for me. Right. And I'm not saying that you need to espouse my level of like detachment from this. You absolutely don't. But in your own context, what is sufficient? What is sustainable? What is soulful? What is satisfying? I found more so than any other money work, money mindset, money reprogram, rewiring, whatever the hell, downloading the prosperity codes, whatever people want to call it. These things, these very like, you know me, I'm a practical mystic. These things are practical and mystical. And these things got me into an aligned place where I never worry about money. And let me tell you, even like last year in 2020, I actually remember 1 month last year, I was like dangerously close to running out of money. I've run out of money so many times in my life, y'all. It's just part of being an entrepreneur. But I knew I wasn't going to. I was like, I just need to watch the bank account go down, 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 down. And then I know this thing is coming next month and it's just going to go right back up. And then I haven't been back to that place again since. But I'm just not afraid of it. And one of the reasons I'm not afraid of it is because I've been there so many times. I know I survive. And again, I know that if I'm staying in alignment, like I will be provided for. And literally, sometimes it's like down to the wire where it's like the day before I need the money, it comes. And it's like, whoo, you know, the divine, it was like really testing me to see if I'm going to keep my faith, if I'm going to hold my faith. And I was like, yeah, of course. I know you'll take care of this and it'll be all good. And so another reason why I wanted to share this is because I'm going to be working one-on-one with all of the trainees in the embodiment specialist training. And one of the parts of this training that I'm really excited about is to do some professional development as well. So the training is 13 months, and the last few months we're going to be doing some professional development. I'm going to have some guest mentors, but I'm also really going to be, because I do one-on-one work with each of the people, really helping people get through their money blocks, like their money stuff, using this formula, using this framework: sufficiency, sustainability, soulfulness, and satisfaction. Again, because if you're going to be out in the world as any kind of service professional, if you're a healer, a helper, a guide, anything like that, if you hold space for people, having money stress in the background really keeps you from showing up and serving as fully as you can. And so to relieve the money stress, maybe that's what this framework is about, like how to relieve your damn money stress, how to just like not friggin' be stressed about money ever again. Because like I said, sometimes money is still tight here and there. Sometimes I made a couple of big investments. One of the reasons I almost ran out of money last year is because I hired a couple of people. I redid the website. I made a couple of big investments last year, and some big pivots in the business. And so I was just putting out more than was coming in. And I knew we wouldn't see like the ROI, the return on investment of what we were creating and setting up until later this year. Right. So, and this year then we grew, which is really cool. But I needed to deal with that and not be stressed in the process. Like money can be tight, but I don't feel tight ever anymore with money. And so that, like that feeling, that spaciousness around money, that faith, that trust, that connection and flow and communion with the divine around money, it just makes all the freaking difference in the world, and it really ripples and affects so many different areas of life. So I'm also going to be working with our embodiment specialist trainees on that, because I want them to be able to really serve their clients, and however they're integrating that training into what they do. I don't want people worrying about money, right? That's what capitalism is designed for, to have all of us so twisted in knots and worried about friggin' money all the time that we're distracted from what is in our alignment for us, our soul's alignment, doing what we're here to do, being loving, joyful, healthy, happy, abundant people. And we know that prosperity and abundance is not just about dollars and cents. There's so many other ways to be abundant and prosperous in our lives, but money is a basic survival need in this culture, you know? And I had someone ask a question on a Q&A recently in the Embodied Living Center about how, you know, in some spiritual communities, they really bypass, like, well, you should love yourself enough that that what you have in the bank doesn't matter. It's like, okay, cool. But if you have a family, or even if you're a solo person and you can't pay your bills or keep your lights on or fucking feed yourself, no, you're not just going to be like, okay, you know, whatever. So we really want to help people get to a place where this basic need can be met with soulfulness, with satisfaction, with ease, because we're focusing on sufficiency and sustainability, and we keep these things in alignment, things can just flow with greater ease. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy all the time, but with, in general, overall greater ease. So I hope that was helpful. Again, this is something I'm going to be going much deeper into and building out this framework in the embodiment specialist training next year. So if you want to check that out, go to untameyourself.com/specialist. And again, this was episode number 367 of the podcast. I mentioned a couple different things. And so if you want to get links to those things, go to the show notes at untameyourself.com/367. And you know what I also want to mention, because it's popping into my head, Tosha Silver's book, It's Not Your Money, Florence Scovel Shinn, The Complete Works of Florence Scovel Shinn, Lynn Twist, The Soul of Money. These were some books over the course of my life that kind of got me on the path to more, sufficiency, sustainability, soulfulness, satisfaction, surrender around money, and more trust and faith around money, and like co-creation with the divine and things like that. Who else? Miriam Hasna, who I follow on Instagram. It's MaryamHasnaa or SSNA. We'll put a link to her Instagram. She has something called New Earth Mystery School, and I've taken a bunch of her classes in there over the last couple of years, and I really, really, really love her stuff. Layla Delia, people who talk about raising the vibration and raising your frequency in a really grounded and sustainable way. No spiritual bypass, culturally inclusive. I love anything like that. And so I just wanted to pop a couple other resources, because I did mention me getting to these places with these things. I didn't just arrive there on my own. There's certainly other work that I did that helped me get there over the course of time. So check those things out. I hope you loved this. Untameyourself.com/367. Share it up. Talk to your friends about it. Have these open money conversations. Shoot me a message on Instagram if you want to let me know how it was for you. And I'll see you later.